This is Damon L. Jacobs, and I'm here with Greg Meng of Days of Our Lives, and the author of Days of Our Lives, the 45th Anniversary in Pictures. It is so nice to meet you in person. How are you?
Nice to meet you. This is a first.
This is a first, and one of the reasons why this is a first is because even though you've been with the show you've been with Corday for 21 years?
21 years,
okay.
Yes.
But,
wow.
Right, time flies.
Yes.
But this is really the first time that you have been coming out, meeting the fans, doing these interviews, getting to talk to people with me, and getting asked all these nosy questions.
Right.
Right?
It's been an amazing opportunity. We started in Detroit in November.
Wow.
And we've been going around the country, and it's been an amazing opportunity, and to find out to actually meet our family of fans.
Yeah.
And some interesting things have come up. Like yesterday, found a young lady who said she was a fourth generation, that's a first for me, a fourth generation viewer with her great grandmother who is still living. And I thought that was amazing.
That is amazing. Now, you have been with the show for about 20 years. How did you get started with Days? How did you get into
Well, I actually started as a page at NBC.
And a page is, for those who don't know, what does that
A page is part of, well, if you've watched 30 Rock, you might get a little bit of an idea about what a page is. I was in Burbank. Where you give tours, you also, it's an internship where you work in different departments and learn about the network. So that's how I started.
And so it wasn't just Days, it was other shows?
I worked my way up through NBC through the network. I worked in compliance and practices, worked on game shows, worked in business affairs. I had the privilege to be able to work under the great president of NBC Entertainment, Brandon Tartikoff, who's no longer with us. But was, in a low-level position to be able to observe and watch how he operated at one point. So I was in business affairs and wanted to get into production. Became acquainted with Ken Corday, and here I am, 20 years later.
So you started working with Corday 20 years ago?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And then you started with Days, what did you start as?
What did I start as? I think I came over to do like administration type stuff and payroll and business budget stuff like that.
Okay. So you and Crystal actually started around the same time?
Yes, we did.
Yeah, okay. And so what has in the last 20 years now, you have worked your way up the ranks. You are now, we see you on the credits every single day as executive producer.
My show title is Executive in Charge of Production.
Executive in Charge of Production. So we always see the name every day, but we don't always see the face. What does that mean to be the Executive in Charge of Production?
Let's see, sort of the jack of all trades, kind of the puppeteer to make sure that everything's coordinated between the writers, the producers, the directors, the cast, also the distribution of the show between Sony International, who distributes the show both domestically and internationally, and with NBC, our wonderful parent broadcaster.
That sounds like a lot of balancing of roles, kind of a lot of making sure people are happy.
It is, and a lot of it is making sure people are happy.
Yeah, how do you do that? I mean, because sometimes some of these departments you mentioned can sometimes be somewhat in conflict with each other or not always on the same page. How do you navigate that?
Well, interestingly enough, it's all about the people that are in those positions.
Yeah.
And it's I use the word family a lot, so it gets a little hokey with me, but that's a whole family of people that do their jobs the best, and so it's not that difficult.
Wow. So you're kind of like a diplomat. We might need you.
Yes, that's it.
After Days of Our Lives, we might pick you in the Middle East.
That's right.
That is so interesting. Now, were you a fan of the show or a fan of soaps before you started with Corday?
Interestingly enough, no. I was not familiar with soaps, except when I went to college. I went to Oklahoma City University, and the commissary every day had Days of Our Lives on. So I saw Bo and Hope and John and Marlena and all the standard greats of Days of Our Lives, Tom and Alice, on. And my grandmother was a fan of it. Actually, both grandmothers were a fan of the show, and my great-grandmother. So that's how I knew the show.
Wow, so you were familiar with a lot of these
And
characters.
they all knew when I started working on Days of Our Lives, so they all got to know that I was involved.
Wow. What have been some of the biggest challenges you faced in these recent years with the publicized budget cutbacks and...
Well, that in itself was a huge challenge, which we have become an example to all the other soaps, actually. We came to me that we had to cut our budget in half. Our license fee was cut almost in half, and so we were given the project of could we keep the show on the air. And after many meetings with everybody, everybody said, of course we want to keep the show on the air, and we can do it. So we created a plan to make this work like a chocolate factory, like Lucy and the Chocolate Factory, keep them coming and speed them up. So we came up with a plan where we produce 7, sometimes 8 shows a week, which is like 1.5 shows a day.
When you say a week, you mean like 5 days a week?
5 days,
weekends.
5 days a week.
Wow.
And we've been able to do it. We brought in Gary Tomlin, who at first, I won't say what he said, the first lunch I had with him, and said what we needed to do. But then he started thinking about it, and he said, let's try this. And actually, he's become a master at it. He's been brilliant, and he's the reason that we're able to make this chocolate factory work. And then Dina Higley, our head writer, who came in and also worked in this sort of situation, and it's been amazing.
That is amazing. And with all these behind-the-scenes setbacks, there have been so many wonderful things that we've seen on screen. I think for me as a long-term viewer, especially seeing so many of the people that I have grown up and watched throughout my adulthood getting front stories, having the Maggie, Victor, Vivian story on, several times a week, having Carly, Bo, Hope on so often, it's very rewarding to long-term viewers.
It's interesting, that's true. There are 2 things that I've been noticing on this tour. One is the value of the intergenerational relationships, the Maggie-Molly relationship, which has been really tremendous feedback. And also, my question is, longtime beloved family characters, for instance, John and Marlena. Huge feedback, where are they? Everybody loves the new people, but we can't lose our former family members either. And so, stay tuned on that one. Who knows?
I would love to see them back. I'm a therapist, and I've made no secret of the fact that when I was a kid watching Days with my mother, I pointed to the screen and saw Marlena and said, that's what I want to do for a living. Marlena was the psychotherapist, and all the characters would come into her office, and she'd help them, and they'd feel better. And I was like, yeah, that's what I want to do.
Do you know Deidre?
I have not met her.
Okay, we'll take care of that.
And it's true. And today I am a therapist here in New York City, in part because of Marlena Evans. But I think that just shows the impact that Days has on its viewers, on multi-generational viewers, and how glad we are to still have it. For you now, meeting the fans face-to-face and going around with this wonderful book, what have been some of the surprises you've encountered along the way? Getting out of the office, getting into the streets, what has been some of the things that have surprised you about?
Well, there hasn't been anything that's really surprised me, but the thing that I've noticed is the strong loyalty and the family feel that everybody has. So these fans are literally family to us. And this book is about family. It's about, we actually felt like we've been in people's homes for 45 years. So we thought this book was an opportunity to bring people into our home and show them behind the scenes how we make the show, how we live our days, both behind the scenes and in front of the camera. So it's about family. So the question you asked, I no really strong surprises except the strong family loyalty from the fans. And some of them who are not able to currently watch the show, but they still have a strong attraction to us. So that was the surprise.
Great. Have you ever, secretly between you and I, have you ever wanted to be on screen or be an extra in a scene or be a character on the show?
I've been on other shows, but not on our show.
Yeah.
I'm happy to be behind the scenes.
Ever wanted to take on one more job description?
Well, I might make an appearance with Carly. I'd love to do that.
I would love that too. I think Carly could use a buddy these days. She could use some support.
I could carry her luggage or something. I'm not going to do that. Not that we want her to go anywhere.
But she could use someone really on her side rooting for her these days.
Or we could go out for Cheetos.
Yes! All right. Greg, is there anything that I haven't asked you that you would like people, or would you like the viewers of We Love Soaps TV or people who may buy this book to know about you or about the show?
Well, I will tell you this. This book is only part of a series of books. And we have an unprecedented deal with Source Books Publishers out of Chicago. And we've got Ken Corday's memoirs started with this, the first book.
Which was wonderful.
Then the coffee table book, which is this one. Then there's a series of romance novels that I brought in Sherry Anderson, who's former head writer of Days of Our Lives, who is very familiar with living and breathing the characters, some of whom she created.
Yes.
So there are 3 romance novels, and more to come, actually. And we may have some surprise announcements in the next week or so, Source Books based on the interest in this book and Ken's book. and the romance novels, a series of additional books. We're looking at possibly a Better Living, Days Secrets of Better Living type book with Crystal and several of the other cast members to kind of give their secrets of how they look great, how they live great, how they're healthy. It's a book that I want. So
me too.
So that's
Oh
stay
gosh.
tuned, and that's probably a book in the works next.
I will read that one too. I'll read all of them. You know that. That is wonderful. That's wonderful because everyone on Days is Beautiful, and I'm sure has tips for fitness and wellness. So
Exactly.
I'd love to know that. All right, Greg. It's such a pleasure to meet you.
Nice
Such a
meeting
pleasure.
you. This
Keep
was great
doing.
fun.
And again, we're going to look forward to seeing you bring peace to the world.
Right.
If you could do it at NBC, you could do it in the Middle East.
Come
I have
out and
no
visit.
doubt. Yeah.
Come out. Bring you behind the set tour.
All right. Thank you.